What do Tony Iommi, Django Reinhardt, and Joni Mitchell all have in common? If only I could put my finger on it. They all had an injury to their hand. But what is it that you remember them for? Throughout history, some of the most iconic guitarists have faced challenges that would have made most people give up their instruments for good. Now I know what you're thinking. Hillary, I clicked on this video for a bagel. Where's the bagel? We're getting to that. Tony Iommi, the father of heavy metal, lost the tips of his fingers in a factory accident at just 19 years old. Instead of giving up, he created a new way of playing that defined Black Sabbath's legendary sound. Django Reinhardt, one of the greatest jazz guitarists of all time, had only 2 functional fingers on his left hand after a fire. And Joni Mitchell developed her iconic open tunings after battling a physical condition that made it hard for her to play standard chords. Now, these musicians didn't let their physical limitations hold them back. They pushed forward and transformed their challenges into their signature styles. Okay, story time. Now, I'm not putting myself anywhere near these guitar legends, but I am going to tell you a story of how an injury helped me become a better guitar player. And yes, it all started with a bagel. Let's get into it. So here's what happened. I was coming home one day and I was starving because I most likely left my house without having any food and didn't get any food while I was out. So I come home, I'm starving, I'm frantically running around the kitchen trying to find the simplest thing to eat so that I don't die of starvation. And what do I find but a bagel? And I'm like, well, a bagel's gotta be easy. All I gotta do is pop it in the oven, put some cream cheese on it, and boom, food. The problem was, though, that my bagel was not sliced. Always find pre-sliced bagels. So, in my fit of hunger, I quickly grabbed my knife and sliced through my bagel, right on the knuckle, right through the tissue, almost to the bone. So, lesson being learned, always hold your bagel this way when you're cutting into it. Keep all of your fingers safe. Now this cut was deep, and if you've ever cut your finger before, you know fingers bleed quite a bit. So I ran to the sink of my kitchen, tried to stop the bleeding, grabbed a paper towel, ran it under the faucet, tried to see what was going on, grabbed a Band-Aid, if I could even find one. Maybe it was like those mini stitches, like they try to. Long story short, my home remedies were not enough. I had to go to the hospital and get this stitched up properly. So not only did I not get my bagel, but I did not get to eat at all because now I'm spending hours waiting in the ER until some doctor can put a couple of stitches in my finger. Great. Alright, so fast forward 3 to 4 weeks as I'm getting the stitches off on my hand and my cast comes off. I'm thinking, great, I'm in the clear, I'll start playing guitar again in no time, right? Like, I haven't played in 3 weeks, I was antsy to get back to it. And then I realized that my knuckle strength is completely gone. My entire finger strength has been compromised because of where the cut was. So I could no longer press down the frets with my index finger. That is a huge problem when you're a guitar player. Not playing bar chords at all and barely even playing open chords. I was struggling, I was frustrated, I didn't know what to do. I thought maybe I'm only gonna play melodies from now on, I have no idea. But then something changed and I decided guitar was too important to me to give up. And I found a way around it. So let's dive into that now. As you can see, I don't have PTSD about bagels. Bar chords were suddenly impossible. That little injury on my index finger couldn't press down cleanly. So anytime I made a bar chord, it made that dreaded ugh sound that guitarists hate, the clink. You know what I mean. I was devastated. I kept thinking, do I give up? Do I settle for just playing open chords? But instead of throwing in the towel, I decided to figure out a new approach to playing guitar. I got creative. I started experimenting with open tunings, where I didn't need as much strength in my index fingers to get interesting chord voicings. Open tunings allowed me to explore different chord positions, new sounds, and ultimately a style that felt more like me. And this is exactly what Tony Iommi and Joni Mitchell did too. They changed the tunings of their guitar and came up with new finger placements so that they could play their instruments the way they wanted to. Learning to work around my injury didn't just help me to adapt, but it opened up a whole new way for me to look at my guitar that I may not have ever approached had it not been for that bagel. So here's the key takeaway. It doesn't matter if your challenge is as severe as losing a finger or just slicing your knuckle on a bagel. Setbacks can feel like the end of the road, but often they're just the beginning of something new. Tony Iommi, Django Reinhardt, Joni Mitchell. These artists didn't let limitations hold them back. They found ways to break through, each creating something unique in the process. And by working around my own small setback, I discovered new techniques. I discovered better finger control and a deeper connection to my instrument. And no, I am not saying that you need to injure yourself to become a better musician, and please do not think that I am. But I am encouraging you to look for challenges in your playing, whether it's trying a new tuning or changing up your technique, or even just experimenting outside of your comfort zone. So if you're feeling stuck or like you're not improving, try to think of one small challenge that you can implement that will help you to rethink how you approach your instrument. For me, that bagel forced me to change my technique and ultimately made me a more well-rounded guitarist. So don't be afraid to push yourself and just see what happens. And if you're up for it, share a story down below about a time when you turned a setback into an opportunity. I'd love to hear about it. Thank you for watching, and remember, keep on playing.